Happy Halloween and welcome to KamenRider Blackman. In the spirit of October 31st, I have decided to review 3 Halloween specials for today. Power Rangers Ninja Steel and Super Ninja Steel's holiday episodes, and a holiday episode from my personal favorite Sentai, and that is Dobso Sentai Zoojer. So, in the spooky spirit of Halloween, let's dig into Power Rangers Ninja Steel, episode 21, Grave Robber. Where we start off, it's clearly Halloween with the decorations around that you see, but the first thing you should immediately notice is the lack of securities, because old people could just walk in, donate crap, and leave without any further prosecution. But, because seriously, that's the first thing that happens. An old lady walks in, donates a board game, then leaves. The main 5 that we focus on, which are the Rangers, Brody, Sarah, Calvin, Preston, and Haley, will go to play the board game before going out trick-or-treating, because that's what teenagers really do on Halloween, rather than act their ages. Anyway, the Gold Ranger Levi passes on playing because board games aren't for him and he finds them lame. Remember that. That's going to be important later. Now, let's really judge the fact that the Power Rangers are the only ones in their whole high school that don't find themselves too old to dress up and go out trick-or-treating.
Costume on.
Oh, you're hilarious.
Tally-ho, Captain Brody. What?
As you were, Major Unicorn. Hey, nice hat.
Thanks.
Get the fuck out!
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Anyway, on to the game.
Place your piece to the cemetery gates, then turn the hourglass to seal your fate.
Brody turns the hourglass, which starts the game, and now it's revealed that it's trapped by the Galaxy Warriors MC Cosmo, and they're stuck in the room and in their seats with no communication to the outside.
I'm sorry, Rangers. Calling for outside help is strictly prohibited during the game.
Cosmo is ugly. Like, UGLY, where the hell is his alibi? That is the beginning to look a lot like Halloween. Seeing that the first time, and still, it just looks disgusting. Like, anyway, how to play the game is you roll the dice and how many steps you take. They must fight a previous monster that they have defeated already before the hourglass is up, or they'd be destroyed. Pretty weird on how the time out of an hourglass decides your fate if you live or die, but movies, I don't know, but yeah, there are movies like that exist. Anyway, you think you can just stop the hourglass from running out of time, but in this episode, Cosmo is apparently a genius and makes it a magic hourglass, so the time could go on no matter what.
Magic hourglass? Man, I gotta get me one of those.
Not the time, Preston. Having no other choice but to play the game, they do so. And now they face a previous monster, and immediately, first of all, here's how it is. It's the previous monster that they faced before. I'm not going to bother remembering their name. And it's them against their own minions. And they get their asses handed to them until...
That gives me an idea. What? What are you going to do? Whoa, wait! Ninja Strike! Steel Slash!
Okay, but can you cut Frieza in halves, though? Brody wins one for his team, and now they advance. Now needing to face Hacksaw or Hackshack or whatever the name is. Anything that's named in this show is either ridiculously long, like Lion Fire Fortress Zord, or generic, like Zoom Zord.
3, 4, 5, 6. Ah, surprise! Hashtag. Not him again. He hacked my cloning technology.
Yes, Sarah, I remember. It was the only episode where you were seen as a good character. Before moving forward, Sarah thinks to bring equipment with her to beat Hackshack, and now entering the stage of the game, Hackshack runs out with Brody chasing him, and Sarah prepares to kill him by creating a device where she just presses the button, say 1,000 times or so. He will eventually die. I am not kidding. This literally happens. The girl brought a toolbox and a device to alter to commit the act. And for as many rules as Cosmo has in this game, nobody seems to go to jail because in a court of law, the Pink Ranger would have been arrested for premeditated murder.
They just didn't care.
Beating Hackshack, the next monster is Sloger, an early on monster with the ability to spray a mist on anyone that they start moving in slow motion. Preston faces him, and all of them except for Brody get hit, and I spent the next few minutes listening and watching bad slow motion acting. So bad that Cosmo pulls them out of the battle to cheat and say they lost. But anyway, losing a round grants the Rangers a misfortune card. So it's like a misfortune card is like a penalty card that'll make the next round harder, and the penalty is now also a solo battle. And since Calvin is the one that rolled, he is the one to do the next challenge. And the next challenge is to save a guy who's asleep behind the wheel of a truck. And Calvin saves the civilian but fails to save himself. So the next round is a Megazord battle with a Skull Gator. And now, gaining another misfortune card, Cosmo summons the Robo Rider Zord and makes it evil and forces it to face the Rangers. Unable to gain it back on their side without its Power Star, which belongs to Levi. Anyway, they beat the Skull Gator, but another one comes out anyway, just to cause more trouble. And now, finally back into reality, we see Levi hanging solo and realizing from Mick about being selfish, which is a bit ridiculous because really it's about not wanting to play a game. It's literally no big deal. Yeah, I get it. Just because he wanted to do something, just because he wanted them to still do something that they all like to do, but now they were doing something that he didn't like to do. It feels like it's not that big a deal enough. Like, yeah, I get it. The moral is aimed towards children about being selfish, but really, even earlier, they weren't really all that upset about it, really. But either way, Levi goes to find them, and then they're clearly at the shop classroom, but the door's locked.
Have fun.
Oh, it's kind of dark. Hey, why's the door locked? Come on, open up. Guys, let me in.
Go away, Levi. Group decision. No country music allowed. Cosmo's magic to keep the Rangers from escaping apparently is not all that effective anyway, since Levi just pulls the door open, looking at the game, and Levi, he comes in the game now.
You can't be here! It's cheating!
Hold your horses. I'm not cheating. In fact, I'm not even playing your game. Activate! Ninja spin! Yeah!
Oh no! He's right! If he's not playing the game, he doesn't have to obey my rules! Hurry up, Skullgator! Destroy them!
Cosmo, how is that cheating? He's on your field, he's taking part to beat your game, which means he's playing. If anything, you're cheating by not letting obstacles finish and using outside help. That's not cheating. They're going by your rules that you're making up along the way. And after that, everything just gets stupid. I'm gonna put that out there right now. Either way. But this I do remember that I found hilarious. This episode does get stupid, but Cosmo makes the most hilarious face ever that makes him look like he's constipated. And I've watched it, like, in the editing of this, I will have it on. In the editing of this, there will be a clip of it playing just right here. And it's hilarious. I'll make a gift out of it. So, the Rangers finish things in Levi's Megazord. So, despite there should only be room in there for one. But you know, Power Rangers fuck common sense in the ass, and they destroy the Skullgator. And Cosmo is still protesting about Levi's interfering.
You can't do that, Rangers! The Gold Ranger isn't playing the game! Outside interference is cheating! And besides, your time is almost up!
Is it? Because I picked up a little something on the way in.
Oh, my hourglass! Be careful with that!
It'd be a real shame if something happened to it, right? Right.
Oh, wait! That's a valuable game piece!
Whoops! It slipped. Ninja blast!
No!
Why did they shoot it? How hard is it to throw it on the ground and break it? And the episode ends there, and morals are learned more than in the Ninja, and 6 adults portraying teenagers go out trick-or-treating. That was last year's episode. Now gather up my thoughts about that at the very end of this video. But now moving on to Season 2, with Super Ninja Steel's holiday episode, Monster Mix-Up. We start off exactly where we did last year. Teenagers too old to go trick-or-treating until we run into the villains of this episode called the 7 Gruesome Grunts.
Power Rangers! Yes! I'm Versex, and these are the Gruesome Grunts, an intergalactic mob of criminals.
Oh no! An intergalactic game of reused monster suits, and ones from the Sentai, and literally one, especially from a different Sentai.
7 monsters at once? Odious must be getting desperate.
Now, where have I heard that line before?
Times the freeze! 3 times the sting! 3 times the heat! Sledge must be desperate.
Well, if you're really gonna cash in on your last show more...
Time to teach you a lesson.
Guys, we left our power stars with Mick to make adjustments while we were trick-or-treating.
Why was that a good idea? Apparently, with these... whatever. Because apparently these monsters aren't associated with Madame Odious, thank God, and don't care for the Power Star.
If you want to fight us, you're gonna need more than 7 monsters.
Shut up, Calvin. Anyway, one of the Gruesome Grunts, Versex, says some magic wumbo full of bullcrap, and oh my god. For crying out loud, Becca Barnes and Alan went. For crying out, Becca Barnes and Alwyn Dale body swap episodes are not funny. And they haven't been funny for the last 10 years. What? I don't know. How do they keep coming up with ideas for body swapped episodes to begin with? Because I'm not even blaming it on the Sentai at this point. Jesus. Anyway, just standing there, they set up the Rangers in the monsters' bodies to have them arrested by mummy policemen from Dino Supercharge's Halloween episode. They used the same suits again. And frankly, I'm surprised space even has a justice system, considering the fact that the Power Rangers are always judge, jury, and executioner. Oh, by the way, the mummy guards are stupid, and it doesn't matter anyway because they go to court.
We are the pumpkin judges, and our favorite word is justice.
Are those the same Jack-o'-lantern judges too from Dino Supercharge's episode? And the same set?
The Halloween Intergalactic Court is now in session. Next case. The Power Rangers have been accused of destroying innocent monsters. How do you plead?
You're not helping yourself, Saban. In my script, it says you're not helping yourself episode, but no, just point Saban. You're not helping yourself. And the court just gets even dumber, thinking that they could just explain themselves. Which would be a good idea, could explain everything, but instead,
That doesn't prove anything! Everyone knows that story! After making Brody escape the ship, we real Rangers pulled out the Power Stars from the prison.
and apparently that must be episode 1 of Galaxy Warriors.
Yes, we remember that. It's our favorite episode.
So, the court which now breaks down the rules. Every time the defendant is guilty and is charged, they get a strike, and if they get all 10 strikes, they'll be sentenced to the death penalty. This is the most biased and prejudiced court system in the galaxy, and throws ethics right out of the Jack-o'-lantern's eyes, as this court glorifies in gore, and the Rangers have 1 strike already for stealing off of TV. To get off of Intergalactic Court for the moment, we pan to the school where Brody and Sarah go find Mick and Redbot, and they convince them that they're them. Finally, they just do so.
It really is you.
Oh my! Well, these bodies are affecting my smell receptors.
This episode is not only prejudiced towards criminals in a judicial unfair court, but is also intergalactically racist. But anyway, now there's a plan in the process to capture the last gruesome grunt. Meanwhile, in court, the Rangers are deep in strikes, and extra strikes just because pumpkins are terrible judges. The gruesome grunts in the Rangers' bodies just tell lie after lies with fabricated stories, and all I'm wondering is that if what they're saying is true, then where are these episodes of Galaxy Warriors? If that's all the judges will need as evidence, and yeah, I know, they said that they want nothing to do with Odious, but seriously, if they'll believe TV, might as well be. Anywho, Levi's next to be prosecuted, and he tried to persuade them and convince them with his singing.
Having a good singing voice doesn't prove you're not a monster. We should know. We're in a barbershop quartet.
Just when I thought the stupid train took its last stop.
That's it then. You're guilty. 1 strike, plus 3 more for assuming pumpkins can't sing.
Who assumed that? How is that an assumption? Anyway, before I lose my mind entirely, before anything before anyone gets vaporized, verse 6, I guess that's what his name is. I can't remember anymore. Verse 6 is brought into the courtroom and confesses to swapping bodies. This is the most painful scene. This is one of the most painful scenes I ever watched in Ninja Steel in general. The court, all it took was verse 6 to walk in and confess to the crime for the court which to really say, so they did swap bodies. They've been saying that the entire time. Why did you not believe them the entire time? Who makes stuff up like this? Anyway, the court witch goes right ahead and reverses the spell.
Hocus pocus, switcheroony. Put their bodies back very soon.
You know, in Mystic Force, they just had to type in a spell code. I'm just saying. Confused by Versix's betrayal, it's revealed that it's Mick who shapeshifted as Versix to do the confession. Which leads me to another thing. Does it still count for the fact that... Which leads me to another thing. It was Mick who just walked in and masqueraded as Versix, and the judges just bought that. Considering the fact that Mick even exposed himself, does that still count? I don't know, nor do I really care at this point. Now, court is adjourned.
Clever! We judge these 6 monsters guilty. You shall be vaporized!
So, yeah. So apparently, yeah. Nickelodeon, this is how Nickelodeon gets their sick kicks. By promoting kid shows that sponsor public execution.
You have our apologies, Rangers. We were wrong.
Your court system is corrupt and should be investigated. The rest of this episode is pretty much formulaic, so we're gonna skip that part and just move on to our final episode of the night, Zoojer, episode 36, Prince of Halloween. Once again, we're skipping the intro for this episode because it's just the villains talking, and yeah, it's just talking. They're coming off of last episode, but still, the conversation from each of them just sounds generic, and I'll get more in depth about that once I review Zoojer. So instead, we're starting off with our protagonist. shopping where it just happens to be the day before Halloween. And the Zoom-in characters now learn about Halloween and take interest in it and want to partake. And let's be honest, there are 4 different species of animal people from a totally different world learning about a holiday that's new to them. Meanwhile, we're all still waiting for an Obama Day to be an actual holiday to go trick-or-treating for Trump's impeachment. So, either way, and now we are introduced after they learn about Halloween, we're introduced to the monster of the week in this episode. And man, are they 3 years late for Kyoryuger because it immediately steals their rhythm and dance. You get my point? A little boy and a little girl are together when the dancing monster attacks, and the girl trips and falls, and the boy's thoughts are immediately, fuck that, I'm out. And the girl's unharmed because Tusk rushes in to save her and brought back to an area where a bunch of civilians are while they deal with the monster. This monster can... Oh, another quick thing about this monster, by the way. It can actually, spawn out fire from their dancing, which is, I don't know, for all the strange monsters that are in Zyuohger, this one's powers can actually be effective, but it doesn't do anything with them because it takes off. And either way, back to the kid, because they're the little girl's the focus of the episode, unfortunately. Anyway, her name is Mammy, M-A-M-I, Mammy, and I guess now we see her, breaking up with her now ex-boyfriend. Lesson of the day, bitches be trippin'. The next day, Tusk runs into Mammy, and we have the synopsis of the story. An 11-year-old girl just falls in love with Tusk. We've only heard about Halloween once in this episode, and instead, this show shows that it has a sick sense of humor on pedophilia. I am not kidding. The clip I just played, people are staring, someone's calling the cops, and the situation calls for hearing a police siren.
Cops is filmed on location as it happens. All suspects are considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
To talk about Mammy for a sec, she is as bossy as a child actor could be, and finds Amy as a rival for him.
I'm no meteorologist, but I'm pretty sure it's raining bitches.
So, back to the villain. Azald wants Sambara to get back out there and play the game, while Sambara is trying to seduce him? Director, I need an adult. Because frankly, almost anything in this episode has an erection.
ハロウィンの衣装を探しに行かなきゃいけない。
I was just kidding when I said anything in this show has an erection. They do. From an elephant fetish on the rebound. What? From all things that's happening in this episode, those writers worked their butt off to make it something that would never fly in America. At all. I'm not... Anyway, as Amu jokes with Tusk about Mai and tells him to let her guard down because she's still a girl, and while I was typing this out and thinking about what I was going to say, I had to stop myself a few times from saying anything inappropriate that would get my channel taken down. And despite how many times she's embarrassed him at this point, how about just saying no or go away or leave him alone? Or once again, just say no. That doesn't seem hard. Anywho, let's go to let's go to the Halloween party then, I guess. Everyone's dressed up in a costume. Like, I didn't get a clip for it, but I still remember the costumes. Yamato is a pumpkin. Sella's a witch. Tusk is a prince. Mammy, of course, being a princess. Misao is a ghost. And this is interesting this is what some people had to say back then when this episode came out. Leo was dressed in drag because he was dressed up as a maid. But Amu was dressed up as, like, I guess either a butler or tuxedo mask, because she was wearing like a fancy suit and a top hat but no mask. But I don't know, from what I found, some people thought they were gypped because they would have wanted that like reversed, like Leo be in the suit and Amu in the maid's outfit, to which I didn't mind it how it was in the show, because unlike all those comments, I was not horny in this episode, or even thinking about it. Like I said, anyway, while the party's happening, everyone's enjoying themselves, and Mammy tries to get Tusk's attention, so she rushes and grabs someone's hand, turning out to be Amu's. Let's see. Let's see here. Hang on, I'm just doing something in a second. Because last thing I remember, they grabbed... Okay, now I remember. This is when I learned... Because, let me tell you something right now. I've watched this episode either 3 times. At this point, I've watched this episode 3 times. And from the first time, I didn't realize it. But now I do. Mammy is terrible. She's terrible. She's controlling. All she really wants is someone to boss around. No. To hint my comment, to quote myself from earlier, bitches be trippin'. So no need to be hearing the whole... Yeah, that there. Anywho, Sambara comes back and makes actual use out of his or hers. I really can't tell at this point. It just, these monster designs look so weird, and you really don't. You really can't tell. I just can't tell. Anywho, he or she actually tries to. It makes itself as a threat by actually using their dancing skills to make fire explode from the ground. So they fight, so the Zoologers transform, they do their thing. Amu and Tusk double team him, and Yamato is Zuo Whale, and to which in that form you look cool, you get a gun on your arm, and before doing the attack, his finisher, he does a rider kick into the monster. Trust me, watch that episode, you will see him actually try to pull off a kick and assume that's a rider kick. Anywho, Yamato charges up his whale gun and kills him with a death ray that goes so fast and crazy it could spell out "holy shit" then kill you. It just to gravitate the effect. Anywho, as the rest of as this episode goes, as usual, the monster gets killed, and it comes back in as a giant thanks to Naria. And they summon their mech, Wild Tosai Doteka King. Once again, I'm not going to give my further thoughts on that mech. I will do it in the review. And they beat the monster from there. Now that we've been through all these crazy topics, how are we going to end this Halloween special?
マミちゃん、悪いけど僕は。
アミ王子様。
は？
あなたこそ理想を超えた最高の王子様です。マミをあなたのお姫様にしてください。
In other words, be the man of the relationship. Like what I said, would not fly on American television at all. Overall, for these Halloween episodes, Ninja Steel was not bad. Super Ninja Steel it sucks. And Zyuohger is bizarre as all hell. Like, it's so insane. It's so crazy. It's bizarre as all broken loose hell. The Ninja Steel Halloween episode, it's not good. But on the other hand, like, I'll say this. It's not awful either. Matter of fact, it's the most harmless episode of Ninja Steel yet. Because, yes, it's not a clip. For starters, it's not a clip show. That's one thing. It's them making use out of stock footage, and it's done passable enough, so I can give them that there. And at least they have an actual working plot for the said episode that's not just a stupid clip show. And so yeah, that's enough. That's about it there. Super Ninja Steel, on the other hand, was just triggering. The plot is doltish. The court of Pumpkinheads is moronic, and half of the crap seen in this episode is reused except for the stock footage from Ninja, because those episodes from Ninja never even made it to Ninja Steel. Like, and good God, it's so annoying. And not to mention the fact that they just reused, and I'm pretty sure just recycled the plot from Dino Supercharge as well. Because things that happen there happen in this episode as well, but cranked up the stupidity a lot more. For Zyuohger's Halloween special, on the other hand, it's weird. There's no denying that. You either like it, you don't like it. Either you find it funny, but either way, it's weird as all hell. And it's unlike any other child-focused episode. The child is creepy and terrible. And while reviewing this, like I said, I had to rethink about what I wanted to say because I didn't want to be too offensive. And this is coming from the 40th anniversary that was working on a tone this whole year. And for this one episode, they just said, screw it. Here's something that we know you'll laugh at. And so, yeah. That has been my Halloween special for KamenRider Blackman. Did you guys like this episode? Did you enjoy it? Would you like to see maybe some more holiday specials from this? Doing this was a lot of work, and I was worried about this whole week if I was going to actually be able to film it, because I have a lot going on right now. I have plenty of schoolwork to do that's on one subject, so I'm pretty caught up in my other classes. But yeah, just this has been a busy week for me, because, well, not so much of a busy week, but then again, yeah. But let me explain right now. I came up with the idea for a holiday special a couple of days ago, which gave me a couple of days to pick out and find some episodes to watch and review. And the last video that I put up, that I filmed that ahead of time before this week, so I had an open opportunity to film all of this, and thankfully I was able to get through it and have it done. So, thank you for watching. Please make sure to like, subscribe, tell your friends. This was very entertaining to do, because this was just pretty entertaining to do so much. And like what I said, I'm coming up on my first 100 days, to which I will do a video on it. And if there's anything you guys would like for me to do for my first 100 days video, leave in the comments down below. I would love to know what you would want to see me do. Like, I already have one suggestion, but I'm willing to take a lot more. Thank you guys for watching, and happy Halloween!